Hi and welcome to another episode of Suave podcast with Divyaa Advaani. Today on my show, I have someone very, very interesting. A person who calls himself a farmer for life, and he always says, once a farmer, always a farmer. Let me introduce you to somebody who is super, super enthusiastic, knows a lot about his field, and has experience in a number that, it is unexplainable. So, today on my show, who I have is a suspense. I will tell you a little about him first before I introduce him. So, our guest today is someone who has championed innovation and impact to build a startup poised to benefit thousands of farmers across the country. This story, though, is reserved for the next episode. Today, we are going to be uncovering how his passion and intrinsic motivation led him to create a unique executive development intervention called the Mint Negotiating Program. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Ninad Patil, a seasoned corporate leader, startup founder, facilitator, and once again, as he always says, once a farmer, always a farmer. Welcome to my show, a very renowned and well known man, Mr. Ninad Patil. Hello, sir, how are you?
I'm good, Divya. Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me to your podcast. It's a
It's a
pleasure to be
pleasure
with
having
you.
you. It's a pleasure having
Thank
you
you.
here, sir. Sir, I firstly would like to thank you for removing the time and coming in here today and sharing with our guest about your journey. There are certain questions that I would like to ask you, and it is something that I have been very intrigued about. So, I would first like to start with your program called the Mint. Why
Right.
don't you tell us a little about that? And before we start that, I would like to know why did you start that and how did you start it?
Great. I think let's have a conversation around the program to start with, definitely.
Sure.
Uh, the program is the Mint Negotiating Programs, and this is specifically for senior corporate leaders who are into large deals, who are managing a large team, complex situations, complex negotiations, day in and day out. Now, how did this happen? How did the program evolve? It has two layers. The first or the foundational layer is my personal experience as a corporate executive and a corporate leader over the past 20-25 years. And the gratitude is towards my organizations, who helped me go through a very structured executive development journey. And the way I transformed from an executive to a leader and now a startup founder. I think I attribute a lot of that to the executive development programs that my organization put me through. And when I was going through these programs over the years and seeing the transformation happen within, one thing struck my mind is, am I the only fortunate one getting this opportunity? Because when I looked around in my family, my peers, my colleagues, I found that there are very few people who are fortunate enough to have this structured approach, to get this opportunity, to go to global standard B schools, to have that exposure with global leaders, with global facilitators, trainers, people from the industry. And that is where I felt that there is a genuine gap in the market, where in the Indian industry today, very few professionals get this opportunity to really experience it. Because one is whether the organization is intrigued enough to put people through such development programs, and second is the cost. So there are two gaps. One is whether the organization is interested in doing these programs for its people, and second, even if they're interested, whether the cost is affordable. So setting these two, uh, you know, aspects where making the program accessible to a lot of people at a cost which is genuinely within the reach of more organizations rather than large corporates. So these were the two. This is the foundational aspect where the program evolved. The second layer of this evolving of this program comes from my mentor. And as we say that you have to be very fortunate to have good mentors in your life. When I quit my corporate job and I was thinking of launching this program, I was very fortunate to meet Mr. Shekhar Chandrasekhar Nair. and he has mentored the program. There were a lot of ideas in my mind. The way he curated it into a very specific, uh, niche segment, and giving it something, which the industry would really appreciate, accept, and implement. So this is how Mint has happened. Again, the name Mint has come from my mentor. Again, a lot of gratitude to him there, because we always thought that, when everybody is promoting programs on negotiation, they just call it a negotiation skills program. Have you heard a different brand for
Right.
such programs? So he was behind me. No, Ninad, we should have a different name. And one day he told that something has come to my mind, and let's call this Mint. So the first thing that struck my mind was Mint is where my kid stores her savings. So okay, negotiation is about procurement and savings and getting better deals. Then he told, oh yeah, that's right. But Mint is also where money is printed, where value is created, where money is generated. So it's also
Right.
about sales. So when we look at a brand, these were the two competency aspects of the brand. That it is either where you grow your revenue, or you save your cost. So these were the two competency aspects that were built into the brand. This word Mint, means two things. It is a place where money is printed, and a place where money is saved. And then we also looked at the character of the brand. Mint is also a globally accepted hub. So
Right.
we said that yes, this program has to be on globally accepted frameworks.
Hmm.
And then we also looked at the applicability of this program. So Mint, if you look at this hub, it is used in pani puri as well as in vodka. So so
So
we said that
versatile.
this program should be applicable to the smallest negotiation you might have with your child as a parent, or the most complex mergers and acquisitions you might be doing in your business. So it's a very wide range, and that's how the program has evolved, and that's how the name Mint has evolved.
So was that the connection between Mint and negotiation?
Yes, that's the connection between Mint and negotiation. So instead of calling this a negotiation skills training program, we call it the Mint negotiation programs.
Amazing, amazing. So would you also like to tell us, you would like to tell our viewers about why is negotiation so important a skill? I mean, I understand
Oh,
you've come with your mentor's guidance, and you also must have felt the need somewhere that, why you must have seen some gap wherein, people were not able to negotiate well. And there are often times that people confuse negotiating with bargaining. So, how would you term the two?
so in terms of recognizing the need, when it comes to uh, the Indian business scenario. So I have been into multiple industries for the past 25 years. And I
Okay,
have been fortunate to interact with more than 500 organizations, not interact, to deal with 500 organizations in all these years
that's
as
amazing.
a
It's a
procurement.
huge number. I must
It's a huge
congratulate
number.
you on that.
So it's a pretty large number, and 500 organizations, even if you consider three people from each organization whom I have executed projects with across the country. It's a large number of people that I had have conducted business with. And when I went through this specific development program on negotiations, in fact, multiple programs throughout the years, the gap became pretty evident. What I
Mm-hmm.
found was, out of the 1,500, 2,000, business executives, salespeople, leaders I have met, not more than 10% were really negotiating. They were either bargaining, or they were either persuading, they were either, too authoritative, they were either too accommodative. So people were either, on a very different scale. They were either very authoritative, or they were very accommodative. Nobody was genuinely negotiating. So So when we look at negotiation and this gap of understanding, if you really look at this skill, it's a very complex skill. Uh, Somebody might say, okay, good communication, some leadership qualities, problem solving aspects, conflict management or conflict resolution, mediation, arbitration. There's so many words that we can use to really define these skills.
Right.
Uh, the fun is if you look at any executive development programs that an organization runs, it starts with competency, because you need to be competent in your function, in your industry. You need to know your competitors, so that those competitive competencies are the foundational layer of being a good negotiator. But what comes after that is more important. Then it can be communication, interpersonal skills, your leadership skills, and so many other things. And organizations do all these programs. I don't think organizations miss out on this. Uh, the fun part is, while negotiating, it's a 15-minute to 30-minute window you have with your customer. And you need to bring everything together.
Right.
And that's what the program is about. How do you bring so many things together in a structured approach within those 15-30 minutes max? You won't get more time than that. No customer more. The largest deals might have 45 minutes of customer time that you'll get. And nowadays, even on Zoom, that's another constraint. How do you really connect over a virtual call and talk about millions of dollars? So that gap was pretty evident, and that need became more and more known to me as a leader and then as a facilitator.
Amazing. You mentioned something very crucial here. So while you were talking, there were certain things that were going on in my mind. You mentioned a few terms, like, some call it good communication skills, some call it interpersonal skills. How exactly would you like to tell our viewers about how to differentiate between the two,
Great.
between
Between
negotiation and these skills?
Okay, so there is no difference between negotiations and all these other skills. Uh, Everything is part of a subset of negotiations. The unfortunate thing is we feel that negotiation is a subset of sales. Negotiation is a completely different topic in altogether. It is not a
Right.
subset of sales. If you really look at uh, how organizations go about developing negotiation skills in their top business leaders or commercial leaders, uh, the negotiation training programs come at last. Once you are done with your leadership programs, you are done with your strategic thinking, design thinking, conflict resolution. The last program that is offered to an executive after 4 or 5 years of leadership and executive training is a negotiation program. So to know negotiations, you first need to know all these things. So these are subsets of negotiation rather than considering negotiation different from bargaining or influencing or persuading. So uh, this program has something called the Mint framework, which makes it easier for people to understand. So this framework divides negotiation into four parts. The
Okay.
first phase is influence,
Mm-hmm.
where you are also a master of personal branding and influence. What happens before
Right.
you meet a client, or when you meet a client, when you enter a client's meeting room, or the first 10-15 minutes where you present yourself as a brand, your organization as a brand. So the influence part is the first aspect of negotiation, the first phase of negotiation. It is not where negotiations don't start when the client says, okay, now I liked your proposal and let's talk about price now. So
Yes.
that is the first differentiation. Now let's come to the difference. So people feel that negotiations start when the discussion about price, terms, and so many other things, delivery time, and all those terms start. No, it starts when you're even before the client is considering you, the marketing, the influence, the brand. The second phase is the persuasion phase, where you actually talk about your proposals and make the client understand why certain things are important in this deal. The third phase is where the bargain actually happens.
Right.
And the fourth phase is the closure stage.
Hmm.
So generally what salespeople say is the moment we enter the client's cabin, the people they start talking about price, and we have nothing more to offer, and the whole discussion is converged towards pricing and just hard bargaining. So this is probably for salespeople to understand and create that differentiation. Tell the client, okay, we are ready for a bargain, but let's talk about something else first.
So this is something very crucial that you mentioned, and even not just salespeople, I would say we as business entrepreneurs also at times face this thing. When we are dealing with our clients, or even salespeople for that matter, when they are dealing with the clients, usually there have been times where people just talk about the price, and that becomes a deciding factor. And before
Yes.
you even said these four specific steps that one must take in order to get to that negotiation part, you also mentioned about having a time frame of 15 to 30 minutes. So how
Right.
exactly do you think that those 15 to 30 minutes are enough or are more to be discussing over pricing, given the scenario that there are multiple times the person who you're dealing with first talks to you about the price without even knowing your product or service?
Right.
So how would you like to tell our viewers about that?
So when such discussions happen, and the your customer is driving you towards pricing very fast, you should understand. So the first thing that happens uh, mentally to any salesperson or a business owner is that you also start thinking about the same thing, and you take the pressure of pricing on yourself. So rather than doing that, what I tell professionals is pricing is something which you, as even as a business owner, don't have a direct control on. It is, any product or a service, the pricing for that is dependent upon so many internal and external factors.
True.
And as an organization, you have already decided what is your BATNA, where are you, what is your best deal that you're going to offer. So why worry about that? Rather than starting to think about something which is not in your control, let's talk about what things are in your control, how you present yourself or your organization as a value creating partner, as a solution provider, rather than talking about something which is not in your control. So, how seamlessly driving these conversations, keeping pricing obviously on the top of, your discussions, but bringing on aspects. So, in in our program, we say, or in global frameworks, it is said that negotiation, there are two aspects. One is the position that you have taken. So these positions are very solid positions, and this might be about pricing or delivery times or something.
Right.
And how can you move from positions to interests? What is the genuine interest of a customer? So let us look at, if somebody is telling you, I want a delivery for a product within 15 days,
Hmm.
for which the lead time is not less than 30 days. Okay. And still when the customer, so you need to ask those genuine questions, have those conversations. Why is 15 days so important? Okay, I'll get it done. I'll put in these measures to get it done. But is it really important?
Hmm.
What is your genuine interest? So moving from these positions to interest, and then proposing value. Because if when you're stuck with positions, value does not seem visible. It always stays locked.
True.
When the interests are out, when people start talking from their heart, "Okay, why I need it in 15 days, does it really matter to my business?" And when you genuinely feel, yes, this matters to my customer's business and I should do something about it, that is where the connections start happening.
Absolutely. You said such a wonderful thing about building that connection and also knowing the person's interest. But so there is also, at times we have also seen that people who are majorly in startups, or not just startup, I wouldn't want to, mention this as a collective thing, but majority of the times this has happened when we speak to even salespeople for that matter, when they speak to a person from a startup versus a person who is well established, there is
Hmm.
always a difference in opinion, of course, because of the the amount of time they have spent, the amount of money they have spent or invested rather than spending, and have
Correct.
created something for themselves. So how would you bifurcate the two, a startup versus somebody who's super established, and how could you bifurcate the negotiation skills between the two?
Great. I think this is something which is of huge concern in today's ecosystem, because there are so many startups in our business ecosystem today offering
Right.
solutions which might be better than established players. But when it comes to negotiating power, the balance is much, towards the people who are established, or even the customers try to squeeze things out of
Yes,
startups, and
that's
and
the
uh,
unfortunate part of it.
that's the unfortunate part. uh, Now this whole thing about power balance, and how do you really manage that power balance. So one thing is is sure, that the balance of power in a negotiation is dynamic. Going with a mindset that power balance is always skewed in the favor of the customer, or even if even if not skewed in the favor of the customer, you are fairly a new player in the market, and you feel that, okay, I have less power. I think that is a mindset thing which we address in our programs. We say that, and there are so many relatable stories and uh, uh, case studies that we present, where the where the professionals understand that power is so dynamic. It is your ability to pick up those levers and change the power dynamic in your favor. So it's not a question that can be answered in a 2 minute or the 1 hour interview, but it's a very interesting thing that is covered in the programs. And uh, the facilitation we do on that is extremely important. That's when people realize that power is dynamic, and can the right levers can get the power in our favor.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that with us, though. But, sir, I would like to ask you another thing here. You
Yeah.
mentioned that, in your program, there are a lot many aspects that you cover. So, who exactly would be benefiting from your program? Rather, who would be, the right person to be enrolling into your program? Though I understand that negotiation is a very crucial skill to have for every individual. But for people, for starters who are just wanting to understand who is it best for, what would you suggest?
So, if you really look at the core segment, or genuinely where organizations and HR and business leaders would like to spend on such a program, from a customer point of view, the sales teams and the procurement teams are the uh, level one segment which this program is targeted at, because they are the ones who are day in day out uh, you know uh, building the top line and bottom line of the organization. Every day, what they do has an impact on the P&L or
Right.
for these two teams. So the competency, as I said, of this program is in your revenue growth as well as your cost optimization. More importantly, this is very transactional. P&L is a transactional thing. More important is value creation, and that is where this program is also not only for sales and procurement professionals. This can be for quality people. These can be for your production teams who are working on so many projects. And value is not you know uh, directly proportional to your profits of that
Absolutely.
quarter, of that year. Uh, there are so many things that can be mutually shared between your stakeholders and partners, which creates maybe short-term value, mid-term value, and more importantly, long-term value, long-term partnerships, strategic partnerships. This is
Right.
so people who are not only on the sales and procurement domains, but leading businesses, leading teams. So
Hmm.
this program is also for the leadership level. And then you can look at project management. Now there is no transactional aspect involved once a project is won by a company, and now the project managers or the project leaders are executing it. The fun is the customer extracts a lot of value, from your execution team also, which under the pressure, of keeping the client happy, the project managers keep on executing things which are not part of the contract. How do you
Right.
negotiate that? So the application is wide, but if I look at it if my organization wants to spend, I will first do it for my sales and procurement teams, and then look at all the other value aspects of the program.
Amazing. I think that gives a little more clarity. And even to our viewers who will be seeing this interview, I think even they'll be a little more they'll be a little more clarified with, what would be the first step for them. But having
Right.
said that, I would like to also understand when we speak about negotiation, there are often times when people feel that, by negotiating, they are losing respect, or they feel, that hierarchy comes into place. Oh, this is not my
Correct.
position to be negotiating. How can I do this? So, what will you say for that? What's your take on that?
Oh, that's my favorite part. Wonderful question. So when it comes to the Indian professionals like us, uh, we have been brought up with uh, a lot of learnings from mythology and from our culture and traditions. And one great learning that we all have is from the Holy Bhagavad Gita. Karam karo, fal ki chinta mat karo. So that
Yes.
is that is something probably is in on every Indian professional's mindset. This cannot go out from our mindset. It is part of our upbringing, our culture, and that is something that restricts us from negotiating. Uh, I cannot dispute the learnings from the Gita. It is a fact that you should do your deeds. But in modern business, Dr. Chester Karas, who is a globally renowned negotiation guru, he has written a book that which the title of that book is "You Don't Get What You Deserve, You Get What You Negotiate For." Now this is a very conflicting situation for Indian professionals, and that is the reason this is very interesting for me, because one is something which is part of our belief, and now in the modern business, people say that you need to negotiate for what you want. So uh, it's not about greed, it's about your rightful share. It's not about feeling bad while you are negotiating. If it is your rightful share, you need have to negotiate. uh, you know Keep doing the good deeds. Uh, it is absolutely necessary to be uh, uh, accepting the teachings of the Gita, but then modern business demands something more, and you need to be negotiating.
So you mentioned one very crucial point out here. You mentioned about being rightful, right? So
Yes.
it's your rightful need you mentioned. Like we spoke about how some people feel that if they are at a certain hierarchical level, they cannot really
Mm.
negotiate. But on the other hand, on the flip side of the coin, there are also people who feel it's their right to get everything they want. So how would you how would you, rather talk about negotiation with people like those?
So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Do you feel that negotiation is a process of getting what you want?
It sure is embodied in the way we, speak, and it becomes a
Mhm.
part and parcel of it, I would say. It's not like a separate thing.
So definitely, it is a process of getting what you want. Uh, More importantly, when we look at customer centricity, uh, the Mint framework says that negotiation is a process of giving what the other party wants or the other side wants
Absolutely.
at at your terms. Now, uh, you know, all the sales processes and so many other learnings that we have in communication, leadership, interpersonal behavior, we have been always taught to think about the other side and be empathic and try to solve their problems. And that is what a negotiator also has to do in the first instance. He cannot go with his demands.
Right.
Now, the real challenge is how do you fulfill your demands? And that is where things get interesting. So the foundational layer of the thought process or the mindset has to be your empathy, your considerate uh, nature about the other side. You cannot go into a discussion with your demands. You have to go into a negotiating discussion thinking about the other side. And at the same time, the so when we talk about pricing, if somebody is hard bargaining about a price and that customer is important to you, what will you get in return if you agree to that price becomes more important.
Right.
So if somebody is very very demanding that this is what I want, you should also think about what else you can get from them. A very recent example, a large startup customer of mine, and they were negotiating with me for a program for their procurement team. And the HR head was very well known to me, and she called me and said, Ninad, we really don't have the budget. We'll have to cut your proposal to half if you want to give this, contract to you. I said, cut it by half. I'm ready for that. But then I want a meeting with your founder. I want a 15-minute slot with your founder. So she said, what's the interest? I said, even I am a startup founder. Let me, get some
Right.
insights from him. And that was very high value for me. The 50% discount was,
It's
compensated with
huge.
something which was much, much high value. So
Right.
whether when you are clear, when you are passing on concessions, when you are passing on discounts, you should be very clear what you want in return. If you are not able to get that, don't pass on the discounts because the world is very cruel. They will
That's
always try
true.
to squeeze.
You've put that so beautifully. I'm like so excited and so thrilled to even be hearing this. And I'm sure many people out there who are listening to this are going to be like, wow, he just said what we all just keep thinking in our heads. But that's lovely. Great. So is there anything else that you would like to add out here? Something that based on your career, based on the kind of trainings you have already taken, the facilitation programs you've already done, anything like you've come across and you think our viewers must know about it?
Yes, definitely. A lot of things. So, one aspect that I've noticed is a question that why should be there in negotiation program at all? Our people are very good communicators. They are wonderful salespeople. They are getting orders. They are getting profits. Then why should be there a negotiation skill program for them? Uh, and this is a question that has come across from a lot of organizations before they have gone for the program. And this program is aimed at senior professionals, people who have been into business for 12 to 15 years minimum, or maybe at least 8 years, 10 years. So again the question comes into picture that if somebody is 15 years into sales, I think he's definitely a good negotiator.
Right,
So convincing people on this program is a bit difficult. But when customers, when sales leaders, when business owners have gone through this program, they say that this is something that we all know or we all do, but there is no structure to our approach, and that is something that I want to convey to the people listening to this podcast. Uh, when if you are a business leader and you are running an organization, you have a process for everything. You have a sales process, you have an accounting process, you have a production process, you have a quality process. So if I asked you, do you have a negotiation process?
true.
I the answer, most of the times the answer is no. It is 99% of the times I've heard, no, we don't have a negotiation. How is it possible to have a negotiation process? It is so situational. It
Right,
depends. So this is the most common word I have heard. Sir, it depends ना क्या करने का, वो तो तभी तभी जो होगा तभी देखेंगे. But are you prepared? The army cannot say it will depend which bomb the when the
true.
other side is dropping a bomb. Okay, let me see what bomb he drops. Then I will decide what bomb I will. So you have to be prepared, and you
Right.
have to be structured. So this is something which I think professionals and organizations should understand, and that is what the program is all about. So one aspect here is when you're taking your people through all these developmental programs, uh, they are really implementing those things and growing personally, professionally. But when you uh, look at negotiation, people think that it is a person dependent process. Okay. So, but organizations cannot let it be that way. It has to be, somewhere standardized. If you are a large corporation with teams across the globe with the same product, with the same set of customers, you cannot have different results, in Asia and different results in some other continent. You
True.
need to have consistent results, and that is where these programs come into picture.
Amazing. So well put, sir. And I think a lot of people must have got so much clarity about, what negotiation is about, how you differentiate negotiation from bargaining. Though it is a process of our businesses or even for people who are into sales for them, even for project managers, like you rightly mentioned, because even they are dealing with clients, though they are not into the sales part currently, but they are, still in a way dealing with their customers, and also how the differentiation between a startup founder versus a well established business entrepreneur. So I think all of this has given a lot of clarity, not just to me but also to our viewers, I would say, for that matter. But yes, sir, I think that has been pretty enlightening. And this interview today has been, this whole podcast, I think, is going to add so much value in everybody's life. Is there any departing message that you'd like to give our viewers out there?
Oh, departing message. Why should we depart? We
Okay,
should
until we
lead.
see them
So,
next,
so
what message would you like to give
you're
them?
right. So it's not a departing message. The message is, how do we meet and connect again? I think uh, first, I would thank you for this opportunity to spread the message about this program. The Mint program is a universal program. It's industry agnostic. Uh, your negotiation skills does not depend upon which industry or which culture, which region you belong to. It's these are globally acknowledged frameworks on which the Mint program is built upon. And as a connecting message, I would say
Yes,
that uh, you know uh, there is something in our L&D domain which is of very commonly said as need analysis. You
yes.
know, if you think that you don't have a need for negotiation, please do connect. That's the connecting
Absolutely.
message.
That's so well put. But yes, to all our viewers out there, if you would like to understand more about negotiation skills, and you would like to even touch base with Ninad Patil, so you can definitely put your comments in the comment section below. I will make sure that I respond to each one of you. And in case either of you want to connect with him, you could also reach out to me via my social media platforms. I will make sure that I have you connected with Ninad Patil, sir. His program has been doing wonderfully well globally, for that matter. And like he also mentioned about his applicability of the program is worldwide. So it's not just restricted to a certain area or region, it's for people for all over the globe. So, for those of you who have already been a part of my channel, thank you for coming back. And for those who are just coming to my channel for the very first time, I would request you to please click on that subscribe button and also on the bell icon next to it, so that you get to know many more such inspiring stories. One that we had today was truly inspiring, and there are many more such stories that I keep coming up with. Ninad Patil, sir, thank you so much once again for being a part of this interview today. It has been an absolute pleasure to know about your journey and what is the difference that you're causing in so many people's lives. Thank you so much for your time and your effort and energy, and also giving us all the information and giving us insights about negotiation skills. So thank you once again. And please don't forget to like on the video. Also put in your comments if you need any access, or if you need any access to Ninad sir, or if you need to know anything more about negotiation, please put it on the comment section below. Both of us, for that matter, will make sure that your questions are replied to. Thank you so much once again for all of you who have been viewing my channel, and for those of you who have come here for the first time. And like I always say, until I see you next, keep smiling, keep shining.